No. I couldn't give it.
February 13th work session for the Gerhart City Council is now in session. Okay. To start off, thank you, chiefs, both of you for being here. I appreciate it. Want to thank Chief Gregory for the public safety building name again. Unfortunately, now I'm going PBS. I'm just going. I wrote that so many times today. All right. First off is going to be Preston giving us his rundown on stations.
Well, I haven't been able to get a hold of the guys down in the Hale and figure out whether or not they're on a compacted engineered field or whether they're on islands with a pile camera. But I know that the new sheriff's jail up there is. You know, I mean, I think that when they built that for the youth center or whatever it was, that or youth detention center, that they had the county had the foresight. So we were in seismic zone. And so they were at least put a tile cap on it and build a steel structure on top of it, so it was whatever it is comes our way. They happen to be, I mean, I think if we get an 7 or 8 or 9 or something like that, we get flooded in. So everybody else, including the Bonneville Dam, so. But that's what my idea is to do the same thing right out here, and we've had Alex Title from the recycle place up there by Lewis Park, and he's determined that once you take the roof off, and then collapse the building in on itself, not over with a cat, and that would be most of your fill the reason up a couple of feet. You know, every ferry dock in British Columbia and Washington is on piles of the pile caps. So San Francisco, they build steel structures down there and they get a lot more earthquakes than Oregon's ever had. And the advantage of building the steel structure on top of a pile cap is the fact that it will move with the whatever it is that the land does. So, you know, just the size of the building is to be determined and what sort of, I don't think you want to put any brick or any hard, you know, facade or anything like that, you know, because it's gonna collapse. So if you could do maybe a T111 board and bath. But anyway, I don't know, I haven't talked to the guys on it yet. See what whether or not they're on pilings or whether they're just on compacted fill. I mean, everybody, you know, everybody's wanting to compare the new station to Banksville out on Highway 26. That's, you know, that is a horrible comparison. I mean, they had donated land, donated lumber from Hampton's mill up there. They had, you know, donated electricians. They had donated everything. So, you know, their cost is, and they needed that building because I mean, their district is huge. And that one there gets them out on Highway 26, you know, for the car race. They go all the way to basically to, you know, where the rest area is on Highway 26 east, and they go all the way to summit of the Highway 6 down there, going into Tillman. So they go all the way to Yam Hill and they go, you know, all the way into Hillsborough. It's a huge district. You know, I don't know, you know, it's gonna be determined, but up to the council or people that are gonna be residing in that long after I'm gone, to figure out what size we actually need. My personal feeling is, this, I mean, this goes way back to when, I mean, even before I joined the fire department, when people used to be able to live in town here because the you know, land prices were reasonable and everything like that, but, you know, I mean, two people working and of the age where they're gonna volunteer, I realize that Chad keeps saying that you guys get volunteers and everything like that, but I mean, the average price of a home here in Gearhart, if you don't count the front there, is somewhere between $607,000 and $750,000. You know, I just don't see, even when Bill Eddy took over, we talked about where the future volunteer firefighters are gonna come from. And it's just gotten more and more expensive here in the city to live. So, I mean, congratulations, you guys, that you know, you keep it up. But if you guys think you're gonna go to a paid department, I'm not in favor of that at all. I mean, if you're gonna go to a paid department, you might as well emergency set it.
Okay. That's it?
That's it.
Thank you, Preston. Okay, Chad, we're gonna go straight into learning how to vote.
This will be fun. And
I just want to tell anyone who's on Zoom, even though you can't speak during a work session, please participate in learning to vote and voting.
okay, so nobody's on yet, Mayor. I'll let you know if they do.
Who is CS?
That's Chad's suite. This one's here right here.
We know
Chad
that.
Sweet.
Okay, and if Christie, you could give me sharing. Just working on that. There we go. Okay. Gonna go there.
It's so easy. It's- I don't know, that's either.
You got another word? No. Envelope. Remember what takes some years and. I don't, I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
This.
So
Envelope.
this, Chief Como. Sweet. Oh, anybody else?
I don't. Okay.
That should be fine. I'll do that again. Okay, so this is something that Chief Como brought up to us. It was a polling program. And the mayor brought this to us as well, you know, talking about these remote control setups where we get from another town and the people that were attending the meeting could vote on things that we asked them. This is a fancier version of that. What it does is it allows us to poll a group of people, anybody with a phone or a computer. And we can set this up a million different ways. I'm gonna go through a few of the different types of questions that it has on there. But essentially in a town hall situation like what we want to use it, people will be able to log in. We're gonna show them some questions and they're gonna be able to answer those on their phone. We will be able to collect that information, save that information, and report on that information in all sorts of different ways. So the people that are participating can be anonymous. On your phones, you don't have to put your name, Chad Sweet, on there. You can put whatever else that you want on there, so it can be anonymous, or we can require that people sign up and not be anonymous. We can control how many times people can answer the questions. Some questions we want all your ideas, so put in as many as you've got, right? The idea is to get into this and ask the community a question that they can answer in the town hall and answer while they're on Zoom. And one of the features about this is we can leave part of this open for a survey. After the thing, we're saying we're gonna leave this open for a week. Please keep this information. And you can go in anytime you want and answer a survey based on, did you think the town hall was helpful? What more information would you want on the town hall? We can leave that open for a little bit, report on that. We can give that to the council and you can make decisions for future meetings. So it's pretty interactive, and I set up a test poll that hopefully is not very, doesn't get people's energies up on anything. The way that people will sign up into this is essentially, you start at the way beginning, the questions that come into this, and I think the mayor's gonna talk about this a little bit later, will come from the council. What questions do you wanna ask your people? We'll discuss those questions, we'll make sure they're worded correctly, we'll put them into this program, and then when we're having the town hall during the process, we can open up the question and have people go ahead and sign in and reply to what they feel. So when we get people in the room and on the screen, in order to get them set up on this, we will put up a QR code or a website. You can go to either. A QR code is something that you can use in your camera app. Usually, even from this distance, you might be able to point at that QR code from here with your app. It'll show you a website. You click on that website.
Sometimes you have to zoom in on it.
Yeah, let's see how it works.
It's asking and you just, right.
Yes.
If you want to be anonymous, what do you do?
Okay.
Anonymous or-
Frank, anonymous, or Bob,
Joe
Joe Schmo, or anything else.
Hey, Boop, Josh,
Might need to
0.3.
pull it in a little bit, I think I could. Might do it.
Does it say your name or?
Yeah, I think that we're able to do some recording based on names.
So are we going to an ice cream shop right away?
And take pictures.
That's where it says. Yeah, don't touch it. Told you it was not gonna be very dramatic.
Right, no, I just want to know that it was in the
See, that you were on the right.
On the right survey.
Right.
ice cream shop, okay, yeah, all right.
So you said you're gonna, they will let how you get.
No, I know.
Yeah, you guys in?
Let's see.
And Jennifer, how are you doing?
It's low, yeah, welcome to the presentation, yes.
Okay, great.
I have to make it a little smaller. Zoom out.
There you go.
And then it's just asking
See
you
how
for your name.
it- yeah.
Or I think you can continue with that.
That's where you link.
Wow.
And you're in the town hall.
You're not
people-
tied into the city's.
He doesn't have internet,
I don't have city internet.
so then.
Can you just
Go ahead and just.
website in them?
She doesn't need to be on the internet, she can be on her 3G cellular service.
Unless you've set up to where you don't
Well,
use your guest.
Yeah.
She can have the guest, can people access the guest?
I think we can do that as a backup.
Wi-Fi over there? Yeah, so we can tell them it's need Wi-Fi.
We can put that there too, that's what it is.
Thank you. Do you care? Okay, that's out, Chad.
So again,
Do you care if that Wi-Fi is out?
we have a guest sign in. Yeah, that protects us
It's 5-9, is it? or-
5956.
I-
Yes, a 5.
That's the guest.
Oh.
Yes, sir.
So I think that it would really be important that people, when they sign in, that they actually give their name. Because, I mean, if the people want to be a part of whatever decision that we're making, well, then they should step forward and give us their name. Otherwise, after we come out with whatever decisions we make, based upon the feedback that we get, you're gonna have a whole bunch of
Thank you.
people, you know, they're complaining that they didn't have a say or anything like that. So, you know, the people that don't wanna step up, you know, you can just, afterwards, you can just tell them, hey, look, you know, we gave you plenty of opportunity. As far as I'm concerned, you're a non-entity.
There is a way we can do it where we require everybody to sign in, or we have their email address and then we keep their email address and invite them in, and then they're the only ones allowed. That's one way to do it. In a town hall, that would be really difficult. I kind of played that through my mind.
right?
The other way we can do this is I can restrict the way that it answers. I can make sure that you can only answer once, so that you can answer twice, so that no matter who is in there, they get their vote in there. Because there are a lot of people that say, well, I'm not a voter in here, but I want to tell you what I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we want that. So I wasn't able to figure out a way to make it so that it was just this group of people that were attending that would be able to do this. But the poll is only open while we're doing it. So it's gonna be a come one, come all situation. We're just gonna have to ferret through some of that. We can put a requirement in there that says, what is your Gearhart address? And at least that way we would know that the answers that are coming out are attributed to either a voter or a non-voter. Or that there's somebody who lives here or just doesn't live here. So there are some possibilities that we can do that, but the best way that I can figure out to use for the town hall, so open it up for everybody and just restrict the number of times they can answer it.
If you were to ask for their address, would it allow us to keep that information confidential and not going out to the public?
Yeah, it wouldn't go on screen and it would only be available here
Okay.
to the team, because none of that comes out there.
I think that would be beneficial because even though we might want to hear from somebody who lives in Mount Hood, they're not ultimately going to make the someone who's gonna vote yes or no on this.
Yeah, we did that
And so
during the
we shouldn't
last.
let them overly influence our decision. It needs to be, our decision needs to be catered to what Gearhart wants.
Yeah,
Can't.
during the last survey, we did that, we asked them for their address, and then Christie made sure that we knew who was addressed and who wasn't, and we ran multiple reports on it based on all of that data. They lived in the not, they registered in the not, that sort of thing. It helped tell a story.
How
And-
time intensive
And if
is
they're
that?
property owners, because I mean, there may be one or two people on the front that even, you know, live here year round.
Yeah.
But
But I
they're gonna be majorly affected.
I think that's why the balance between what the mayor is thinking about the advisory vote is going to be, potentially one of the tools that we use, right?
Certainly.
That will tell us some good information on the voters. This will give us as much information on everybody. It's not gonna be perfect. I don't know. I'll look into it a little bit more. I'm just learning about this, and I'll call them to see if there's a way for them to make it easily during the sign-up process to say, what is your address? It will not appear on anything. And then they can put that in, 1, 2, 3 anywhere, and then at least so we can correlate it.
And then you'll weed out the people who don't have a vote. You're not gonna weed them out.
No, it's about Gerhart citizens, and it doesn't mean you have to be a voter or non-voter.
You just have to be a property owner.
Well, if you live in Gary, you don't have to be a property owner. All we're doing is gathering information from the people that are going to be participating in this. When we have the advisory vote, that is a more determining factor because those are the people, because they're registered to vote, will be paying for it. Because they'll be voting on it.
So somebody that has a $2.5 million house up on front there. Okay, is gonna be more affected as far as their taxes are concerned than somebody that's living down here on. What were all the names that Southbury Hagen gave all the neighborhoods in this town?
Yeah, well, you know, Bailey Lane,
Flats or whatever it is.
Bailey Lane.
Beer flaps?
Beer flats.
Yeah, I think that, you know, and then it's who the taxes are affecting the most.
That's what I'm
Paying the
saying.
most and affecting the most is depending on how much you make as well. And if we couldn't do a vote for everybody in town, because that just doesn't work that way. And there are people that are upset that, hey, I own a town here, how come I don't get a vote? Well, I mean, if I own 5 houses, does that mean I get to vote for the president 5 times a year?
I think that the people that own up on front are more occupied than that.
Yeah, and that's why I think that the town hall section and then the surveys we send out should be open to everybody.
Yeah.
But I think when we get down to, you know, who's registered to vote,
Yeah,
I mean, we've got a lot of people.
yeah, I mean, well, somewhere between 11 and 1,800 people. Okay, but the 11 and 1,800 people are the people that, you know, that are registered to vote inside the city. Right?
Yeah.
The people up on the front or, you know, that own a condo or something like that aren't registered to vote, their taxes are gonna be affected just the same as somebody that lives, you know, right next door here.
Yeah. I don't disagree with
Across the street or
that.
whatever.
That's something that the
And they
city
have-
council is gonna have to come up with.
You know, their sizable chunk in the game is gonna be in the game.
So I think for the purposes for this, we're talking about keeping it open.
One vote a person or one vote an entry, whatever you call it.
Yeah.
And,
The
you know,
question,
it's-
I think you should still gather addresses in case in the future we decide that we need to go through and correlate this information based on a set of criteria, like, okay, how do the people that live or own property here or have some connection to the city, how did they feel versus the people that live in Mount Hood or Eugene or whatever?
Yeah.
You have.
we're gonna have to have some discussions about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I get it.
Right,
And the more information that you want is just the more detailed we get on our surveys. We got pretty detailed in the past on our surveys. We received a lot of them and we wrote them all in, Christie. You know, all the comments, all the data, and then we were able to run that data through all sorts of different ways. I guess it wasn't very accurate, but it helped, you know, and it showed us, you know, that we'd be able to run, yeah, we can talk about those parameters. Not sure how to get there. But for this purpose, showing us how this works so that we can bring the town hall folks together on these decisions and how this works. Now, what I was doing is I accidentally pushed a piece of paper onto my mouse and forwarded the presentation. That usually your first screen is gonna say, hey, presentation is yet to start. Okay, ready to go. So here's the first question. So we'll say, okay, everybody, we've got them logged in, we've had people come around, help them get logged in, all that sort of thing. If this works right, as I change the screen, your phone should change as well. Okay, take a look at your phone. It's on your phone.
Already voted.
Oh, it's that.
Question 1. A star survey?
So this is a multiple choice question. We give them the choices, we get we go and everybody's registered for the choices we've given them. There's no opportunity for them to go in. So are you hitting yes or no?
Can we change our minds?
Yes. you can.
No, I just wondered.
So the number 1 says, where should the new shop be located? Huh?
That's
Mine did that too, cause it accidentally advanced if you refresh, so if you just pull down until it refreshes, then it'll come current where we're at.
So that's because I made a mistake. Pull down from the very top of your screen. Okay,
No, I already
This is-
voted, I just wanted to know if I
Garbage,
won.
this is.
Oh, but I want
This
that.
is your ice cream store.
Yeah. Trash.
Everybody likes ice cream.
Oh, thank you.
Wow.
Put it in my hands. All right, thank you.
Well, maybe I should go to the negative, so it just shows.
When I refreshed it.
okay, so I already see a change I'm gonna make on the ice cream store situation. So see, now things are starting to change, people are starting to put in, are you guys doing this? Okay, and Jennifer, did you get in?
I just voted, yeah.
Okay. So that is, of the people that are in here, we could sit here and we can discuss this outcome, we can discuss to see if we need any more information.
There's 10 of us, 10% unsure, 10% no, that's one each. And the rest are all 80%.
There is a way I can change that to numbers and not percentages.
Yes, I like,
No,
yeah, I like numbers.
Numbers?
I like numbers, yeah, numbers is good.
Well, at least we'll have a count of
Yeah.
how many people are in the room.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like ice cream?
And you, because they like the one we got. And you can't go to the next question, you can't do anything until I hit the next slide.
Okay,
Okay, so we have the discussion in the community, we've asked some more questions, hey, what did, you that said I'm sure, what the heck, anyway. Right,
yeah,
now we're gonna go to the next question. This is a survey, an official survey, location for the new ice cream shop. And you can see on this thing going, I've got 4 surveys underway, 2 surveys have been completed. So you guys
in
are,
this room already?
yes,
I didn't already
I don't remember participating in one.
I already voted.
Oh, you're moving ahead then, huh?
She's at the top of the class.
You weren't here.
She's that one that needs
So
to
we
be the
can come to
special
our
ed
ice cream.
advanced kids.
Special ed.
Sorry. Oh, submit, I got it, submit.
Survey.
so for those of you that are still underway in your survey, there is, once you make your choice, there is a finish button.
Right.
10th Street Beach approach.
Oh,
Wouldn't that be
submit.
fun? Ice cream beach.
Since submit survey, right? It's not finished, it's submit survey.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, so hit submit survey,
So we got one more waiting.
who's not surveyed yet?
Has anybody not participated in?
You're good,
I'm good.
you're good, everybody got a check mark?
Well, no. Okay, so why don't I have a check?
Yeah.
So you got to go submit.
What am I doing wrong?
You just submit it.
You submit it and then you gotta scroll up. No,
No, you don't have to scroll.
Oh,
There you
there it
go.
is, okay.
Yeah, her phone has the bottom, has a toolbar on the bottom where we couldn't see it, so we're gonna talk to people about maybe scrolling in and scrolling up. Okay, so it looks like 10 surveys completed, 0 surveys underway, if I hit the next button, it should show. Oh, I'm gonna have to.
Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work.
Okay,
And I didn't get to vote on a topping.
we're gonna come back to that. So the next thing is,
Oh,
this,
there.
we're gonna come back to that.
It came
There
back.
it is, it came
Now
back.
it's back. Open ended. What ice cream topping?
We're gonna go to this, what ice cream? This is an open-ended question, meaning there is no right answers.
You got it type.
You gotta type. Don't worry, Mayor, we won't let you participate in the,
How do you, no, never mind.
NUTS is pretty simple. Now, you see what's going on is that the screen is being populated with the words that you have been choosing. So this is an opportunity to ask the group a question and to see what people think.
you can respond to.
Oh, we can do 2.
No, I did.
Yeah, I've got it set up to where you could actually add 2 in this,
Oh, wow.
if you want.
Down here.
I don't know, but I think that caramel is the right one, but anyway, that's just me. So there's ways that I can show this. I'm gonna go back to the previous screen where we had the survey. There is an option for me to say on the next screen, show me the results of the survey. Other than that, then this is set up accidentally to be not show everybody the results of the survey at this time. And we can go back and do reporting and look at the survey. I would change that so that when you make your survey questions about, you know, where you want the ice cream store to be, then the next screen will show what everybody picked. That was an error, and I'm learning things as I'm going. Okay, so we got all those answers, we've got them on the screen. I can do things like, well, let's talk about mini Oreos for a minute. I really like mini Oreos too, but you know, this one's a very interesting idea because actually caramel is the best.
It is not.
You want many Oreos, go to the
I
Dairy
will
Queen.
fight you.
Caramel is where it's at. Caramel is where it's at. Okay, so that is an example of an open-ended question. This next one is an example of a Q&A. If a store could only sell one flavor, what flavor would that be? You have to type again.
Polish logs.
One flavor of ice cream or one flavor of topping?
Lock us out.
You won't.
Knock, knock,
Hey, one flavor of ice cream or one flavor of topping?
we can't type.
Working on it. What did I do? This was
Just Polish log.
okay. Hold on just a second.
You were just proving that you can lock it, right?
Yeah.
You nailed this with the first question, that was great.
Sneaky.
Oh,
Oh, there.
Oh.
We're back.
activity slots.
That's got me.
It's still not.
This is green colors.
There.
Well,
No.
was it unlocked from the poll?
No. No, it's flashing back and forth between an open-ended question and.
Between the last
Yeah,
question.
because I keep going back. I don't know why that locked. Okay, so I'm gonna stay here.
So we'll work on that.
Q&A locked. I'm gonna try it again. Here in a minute. I'm gonna go to the next one. Word cloud. Okay, so this is, what this is this is audience participation. Hey guys, everybody just tell me how ice cream makes you feel. Or we could ask a question about, do you think that this was helpful? Or give me a word about this town hall. You know, do you think it was successful? Do you think it wasn't? So you see how the words are coming up that you're typing? Somebody go ahead and type in cold as well. Somebody else do cold instead.
Yeah, did you know you stopped sharing your screen?
Nope.
Sound what?
Oh, so it's telling me you've already responded once.
Okay, hold on just a second. Share screen, Zoom,
So it's letting me give you more words.
share screen, yeah.
You have overachievers, it makes you feel a lot of things.
Okay, can you see that? Keep putting words in. Just put another, or somebody put another word in and you'll see, the rest of you will see a change. So these are all the words that you guys are putting in, but 2 people said cold. So it made that word bigger.
No.
It'll identify the words that people say that are similar and make those a little bit bigger to give you an idea of what the crowd might be thinking. Otherwise, these words are in here. Now, I've seen this used with the state of Oregon did a planning thing. They asked everybody, okay, what do you think about this new planning law that's coming into place? And people started typing into it, crazy, too much, way too much information, kept, you know, or too much required information came up and it got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they took this and they took it home and they looked at all the words and how many times people said it, and they gave them an idea of what the people were thinking. Okay. And I think that is it. So from there,
We put grouchy.
Said less grouchy,
Oh,
and slightly less, still grouchy, but less grouchy.
okay, so those are some of the type. I'm gonna create a report real quick and an executive summary and based on what we just did. I'm gonna do all the questions and create this report. We had 5 activities, 10 different people participated, 12 average responses, 78% average engagement. Multiple choice. Does the city of Deerheart need a new ice cream store? 80% said yes. Where should the new shop be located? And I'll check this. Looks like 4 said 40% should be at 10th Street Beach Approach, 50% at City Hall, 0 for the hills to the east, and 1 at the Deerfield Seaside Airport. Check that. That is involved. Open-ended question. What ice cream topping do you think would be a hit among enthusiasts? All of these came up. Q&A. If you could only sell 1 flavor of ice cream flavor, what would it be? That one was locked out as well, so I'll fix that. And here are the, in 1 or 2 words, how does ice cream make you feel? Kind of shows that information. So we were able to capture all of the responses.
That's great.
Mhm.
That's absolutely great.
That's really cool.
There are about 15 other different styles of questions. We can show them pictures. Which one do you like? Point here. We can show them graphs. Hey, do you think it's too expensive or too big? Point on the graph where you want it. We can do a lot of different things. And it doesn't take that much time. Here's one tease. And it can be branded with pictures and do all that. It's locked down, and then we have all the information to move forward with. And if we do all of our town halls like this, we can track that information as well. Hey, did we do a better job? We can do a survey at the very end of this that says, hey, on your phone, it shows, when you go home today, do a survey on this town hall. Did you think there was enough professionals there? Did you think that there was the right type of architect? You know, whatever it is that you wanted to say, they can go home and do it. We can give them 2 or 3 days. 2 or 3 days, we print out that, we get that council that information, it gives you an idea of what people are thinking. And
So are we coming up with those questions at the end of the town hall? I'm just trying to picture how that's gonna,
yeah, I think it would be something that, what does the council want to know after we're finished with the town hall? You come up with 3 or 4 questions, I wouldn't keep it very long. You know, did you feel it was the right time of day? Did you feel, you know, is there a better time?
In reading your document, is this your document, Carrie?
It is.
So it looks like number 1, you want us to provide between now and then, come up with 5 questions max that we think would be pertinent and should be asked?
That's right, yes, and if you look at the list, 5 questions. And we'll get them to Chad, and Chad and I will go over them to see that none of them are repeats. And if they are, we'll contact you. But these are 5 questions you feel the audience should participate in talking about and voting on, just so we have an idea of what they're thinking.
So information we feel we need to gather from them
Right.
in order to proceed. Got it.
But I think we should have a set of questions that we ask every time until we I'd like to know how many people had participated in the vote at each meeting, the previous meeting. That way we know that if we've got, let's say, 40 people that have been here 3 times, that's one thing, but I want to incorporate as many people as we can in their responses, because if we don't get diversification, then all we're going to be doing is having one set of people making these answers, and
Right.
we need to incorporate as many people as we can into
Just
this.
another reason for us to capture names and addresses.
Well,
so, how are we gonna reach the people that aren't at the meeting?
I will have the people that are not at the meetings. So if we use this polling, that during our presentation, we're presenting something at a town hall and we're wanting information from people to respond to that presentation, or that section of presentation. After every section of presentation, we can put up a poll question and the people that are there can participate. If we get people in Gearhart that can't make the meetings, they're otherwise indisposed, there is a way to set this up and to allow them to take the poll, but they're not gonna be at the town hall to understand the questions and the reasons why. But this system is set up to be able to put a survey together, and let's say we keep the survey pretty, in the middle or easy to answer on very simple questions that we can give to people that weren't present and allow them to get their words in. We can do that. We can enable this poll, put it on the blog. It'll give them both that website address and that QR code. Say, hey, over the next week, when you have a moment, we just finished our town hall. Here's a survey that we did in here. We want your participation too. We will not know if we've got multiples, right? Because people will be able to sign in with different users. We are able to track if it's like, if Justine used her phone for 5 or 6 answers, just kept logging off, logging back in, getting back in and doing more answers, we can see what's called a MAC address, which shows that, hey, this computer over here answered this 7 times. So we could throw away some of that information.
So you gotta check that.
Yeah, but in the past, we haven't had too many duplicative answers in our surveys.
How many citizens do we reach with the blog?
We have over 2,000 people on there.
So pretty much everybody.
A lot of people, but I don't, a lot of those are also there's some out of towners that just don't live or work here or anything. They're just interested in what's going on. But yeah, I think we've got over 2,000 now, and it's pretty good. The paper version of this wouldn't work so well, but we could send out a paper flyer that says, here's the QR code and the website, and here's what we're asking. Put that in the, whatever, water, or do another mail out. They can go in, answer the questions, and we'll just be collecting the information automatically and run the reports however we want. There is nobody taking paper versions of this and entering it into the computer. And I would say that the amount of people that don't use computers or wouldn't be able to do this is a very small amount. There is gonna be some.
Will the public be able to see the results online?
Not if we don't allow them to during a period of time. I think that there is a way to put like a summary on there or to make a report available, but it would be information to go to the council, and the council can make it all available.
So would it be possible at the town hall when we were gonna do this, for those people that aren't going to, that are gonna have left their phone outside or just don't have the ability to do it on their phones, are we going to have in the town hall paper copies for them to capture their information?
That's one way we can get more people to participate if they don't feel like they can do that. I wouldn't have a problem if we had a paper copy.
Yeah, what would it take with a paper copy if there weren't very many of
The
them?
information would come in later.
Like, cause we had what, like 1,000 surveys come in during the last one. It was some good information in there too. And it took Christy a lot of hours because she had to hand type all the comments in as well. If we keep that in mind and do something simple, we should be able to do paper copies somehow.
Well, that would
Hand
only
them
be
out.
for a limited amount of people. I mean,
Yeah.
most of the people are gonna come in ready. I was gonna say another word. But ready to do something like that. And we can make sure that we get that word out.
Mhm.
Hey, Josh, have you guys typed up your letter for the fireman's wall?
It's not finalized, it's in process.
It might behoove you to put in there that the city is talking about, because you get a lot of your funds from those people up on the front. I mean, they all come down for the fireman's wall. Everybody that has some residence here comes down for the
Our
fireman's.
letter goes out to the district and to the city limits, so there'd be a lot of letters that get sent out that's not in the city limits though. Cause we send it to our whole fire district.
Okay, but in there, you can designate for the people that own property in the city itself. We are conducting, town hall meetings and surveys and stuff like that to get your input as to what it is that you would like to have done. And, you know, if you have any questions, I hate to burden the office staff or anything like that. You can email.
We set up some separate survey or something just to collect info or guide,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, because I mean, those guys, I mean, you mail it out to everybody that's, you know, it's property owner.
Correct.
Those are the kinds of people, those are the people that I'm actually interested in getting their feedback.
Here's my thought. Because this presentation was new to all of us, that I had a few problems and other people might have a few problems, so I think in the town hall, it would be quite imperative to have some, a few people roaming around as helpers. Just like Chad needed help, and I needed help, and I think Dana didn't get to the bottom of her screen. It would be really nice, because otherwise we're gonna be flooded with people raising their hands going, I don't know, and I couldn't get online, so I don't know if that's gonna be a problem. So that's my thought, is that we should have some helpers to help the audience with this, because it's new to all of us.
Totally agree.
Well, I don't know where you're gonna get them.
Well, it'll be us, I mean. These guys, those of us that'll be in here, we can walk around, yeah, if I train 2 or 3 people on really well how to use this, then we can help them out, for sure, good idea.
So are you gonna have another trial run before the big meeting?
Yeah, I ran this a couple of times, it's the first time I came up with that lockout situation, so I gotta figure that out, and then the other one is, there was one question that didn't work. There's one question in there is a Q&A that says, okay, what toppings would you like to have? And people start putting in those toppings, and once you get those topping lists on your phone, you can start upvoting the one that you like the most. So it's participation with people voting on the information that's coming out from the people. So if we say, you know, what color should we paint the public safety building? Pink comes up there, and green and orange and brown like the water treatment facility. You'll see people liking a specific thing, and it'll go to the top during that process and during the survey.
Okay,
So it's not just questions that we ask people, it could be things that come from the people if we set it up that way.
they like it 10 times.
No. No,
Yeah, but we're not gonna be getting that technical right now, are we?
no, no, we'll keep it very simple,
Good.
multiple choice answers, I hope.
If it's simple, I could walk around, cause I got using the are those case sensitive word letters?
No.
Thank you.
I made them that way so that they kind of stood out, so people could read it. That's the way that Poll EV does it too, capital P, capital E. To make it easier, I put it all in lowercase, it was hard to read. So it can go in any way, so people can make, as long as they get pollev.com / whatever we name it,
Right, okay. WS1 is what you put in?
work session 1.
Right, okay.
Will people need to be on the internet to work this?
The internet or on their 3 and 4G from their cell service,
Alright.
one or the other.
Alrighty.
Good. I think that was really helpful.
Okay, we'll practice.
Well, wait a minute, I didn't get to vote on my favorite ice cream.
Shows that we had an eye response, missed our opportunity, we could go.
That was the one we were locked down on.
Yeah, and that was the one that shows the different type of answering where people can upvote an answer that somebody gets. Let's say there's 50 people in there, you know, 3 or 4 do some answers in there and go, you know, that's a really good idea. They see it on their phone and they go, I like that one. And then they upvote the information that the public has provided, and it's kind of an interesting way to go. So there's a million ways we can do this. Crafting the questions that the council wants to know about. That's up to you folks. It's not, you know, staff is, where's it coming from? So you come up with your questions, we'll craft them so they're very simple and easy to answer. And that we'll get the best information that we can out of them. We'll talk about how that works and we'll put it up and we'll give this a shot. Lots of people are using this, Coca-Cola, P&G, all sorts of places. So, yeah, kind of neat.
All right, so I'm gonna meet with Chad. We're gonna come up with a set of questions that we're gonna ask at every session to start off with. And that's Have you ever voted in a town hall before? I know this will be the first one, so it'll be a no, but it's just,
So that'll grow to yes, maybe in the future.
but then we can get, you know, like I was saying, triangulate how many people are just participating and how many are new on the job. And I'm gonna go over what I gave you on this piece of paper. You come up with 5 questions max. If you need more, just,
Keep on writing.
I guess that'd be the way to go, and we'll just edit as we need to. And email them to Chad or drop them off, and like I said, Chad and I will go over them and take the ones that are redundant and contact you, so you can come up with something else. And I would like everyone to have a 3 to 5 minute narrative that they want to speak about the PBS, the PSB.
You watch Sesame Street too long.
Yeah, I've had kids and grandkids. And Dana's gonna have a PowerPoint for us during the next session. Are you?
Yeah, let's talk about that when you're done.
Okay. And please engage as many citizens as you can about what we're doing here and why we're doing it, and the need to vote and participate. Okay, Dana, go ahead.
Okay, so the document that you have that says draft on it, please do not disseminate that. Please don't discuss it with anybody. The contents, don't pass it out, don't send it off. I have not even, this is something I've been cobbling together for the past week or so and driving these guys crazy, asking them for information and incorporating it into this. I was up very late last night typing this. I was up very early this morning typing it. I was a little loopy, and so I have not even yet done a grammar check on it or even actually read through the entirety of it to see it make sense. But I printed it out really quickly for you to give you an example so that I can illustrate for you what I wanted to speak about. So it seemed to me at the last town hall meeting that we had still a lot of questions that pertain to why do we need this, and foundational questions that would help us garner support and I think providing more information to folks would help them understand our need and then help them make better decisions when we're doing these polls. They're making more informed or giving us more informed feedback rather than just, you know, based on something that they don't necessarily have an understanding of. So what I started typing up was a preliminary needs assessment. This is in no way meant to be the final needs assessment. I strongly feel that later on we'll have to have some professionals that really can dig down into codes and have a lot of experience and expertise in building fire stations or remodeling fire stations and police departments to advise us. But this is just a preliminary, this is a list of where we're at and maybe compare it to what we need. So starting with a little summary, and all of the things that you see highlighted on there are things that I need to go through and verify. That's the reason they're yellow is because I was like, okay, I need to double check numbers on that. But what I started off with, if you look at the document, is it's a summary of, you know, how many households do we serve, what does it look like, discussing that we're talking about the Gerhart Volunteer Fire Department, also the Police Department, but also a key player in this Gerhart Rural Fire Protection District, because the decisions that we make will impact them also. And there are some people that don't have an understanding of the role that the Gerhart Rural Fire Protection District or the Reed Heritage Station plays in our operation. So it discusses a little bit of that and how that belongs to the Reed Heritage Station belongs to them. And if we were not to have an IGA with them, or if that were district to dissolve, then we would lose control of that building. Then goes on to why would we need to make changes to the police departments, what some of the codes are, and some of the information that I've received from the police department and that I've observed myself as far as what changes and updates need to be made there. Talks a little bit about why we need them. Also, same thing with the fire facility. I have a lot more to work on the fire facility. There's a lot of information out there about what fire facilities need. There are a lot of different codes. NFPA, the US Fire Administration, FEMA, everybody has a little bit of information. OSHA has some standards, ADA has standards, so there are a lot of standards to kind of wade through. And I'm not pretending that I'm gonna get into all of those, but I'm going to, I hope, have enough information for people to understand overwhelmingly that we have a problem. That we have a problem that we need to fix one way or another. What I'm not gonna suggest is what is the solution to that problem. I'm gonna leave that open-ended, because that's information we need to get back from them. But I think that once people have reviewed all of this information, it's gonna be pretty clear to them what the solution, or at least what the solution should be or should entail. It's gonna discuss some of the common questions that we've been receiving, like why do we need to do training, or why would we need a training facility? Why do emergency responders need a locker room? Why can't we just merge with Seaside and solve our department? So, what would be things we'd have to consider if we were to go that route? So this is, like I said, this is not a complete document, and if you get through it, you find a lot of grammar mistakes. I apologize for those, but again, I wasn't even able to do a grammar check on this before putting it out to just give you a little idea of where I'm going with this. I would like your feedback on this. Some of the information I'm still trying to get, and I think that probably Preston could help me with a lot of the background on the fire department, some answers to questions that people have not been able to answer for me yet, that I still have. But I also, in doing this, I have the fire department and the police department send me some pictures illustrating some of the things. Like, for example, this is a picture of the floor when we had a rainstorm last year and it flooded. And you should keep in mind that they have a lot of electrical cords running around in there. And I'm not an expert on such things, but I'm thinking that electrical cords and flooding cords do not mix. Nor does it meet the standards that I'm learning about that say that you're supposed to have drains in the floors. So there'll be a discussion of that in there. And if you don't mind, I'd like to take my portion of the discussion, and I will probably put these into some kind of a PowerPoint so that I can illustrate some of the things. And then I would like you guys to be available, just like we were last time, to jump in and answer questions when people ask me questions that I don't have the answers to.
Absolutely. So given what you have given us, this preliminary needs assessment, will this eventually go out to the public when it's finished, when you're done? I mean, is that what this is for?
Well, that's what I would ask you all. Would you like me to create a document that we could provide to the public? Because I'm not gonna include in there any safety or security concerns that we wouldn't want to broadcast.
I wasn't sure, I just wanted to know that this was a draft. If this was a draft, what is it preliminary to?
Yeah, I would like to have it be something that we could make available to the public that could answer their questions, but also if you don't feel comfortable releasing it to the public once it's done, then I would like at least for you all to have it so that you all have answers to the questions that people will ask. And so we're giving out consistent answers.
Sure.
And also, I'd like to add to this if it's required. If somebody asks you a question that's not in here and we all need to know the answer to it, then please send me the question, let me do some research, get back to you, and once we agree on an answer, we'll go into the document.
It's a wonderful document so far.
Yeah.
Chad, do you wanna go over this really quick?
I do, ties into what you just did. Okay, so here's the issues that we have, is we're trying to do a better job of collecting public information prior to making some decisions. So you don't have it, Preston, I got it right here. So you're trying to make some decisions based on information that we provide. So we want to get into the town halls, and this is more of a question for the council. We want to get into the next town hall and say, hey, do you want a fire station again, right? Is that one of the goals, is to say, do you believe we need a new fire station? But how do you get into that conversation without the information? Okay, how do you provide enough information so that it looks like you're heading in that direction to provide information, but you're not getting on the design side of things, because if we start jumping ahead and start getting information out, people are gonna be upset that, okay, the design's already taken care of. Chad already knows where he's gonna put the fire station, you know, that conversation's gonna happen and all that, and I really wanna stay out of that this time. I wanna make this as much of a, as you folks do, and if you express to me, a people-centric, resident-involved process. So we do need some information to go out there to find out whether or not we even need a new fire station. Is that true?
At the last meeting that we had, almost 99% of the audience raised their hand at that question.
But it's small
It was,
representation.
that's true.
And you can anticipate that we might have different attendees at this one because it's being held at a different time and on a different date and so I think one of the mistakes that I have seen in the past with organizations that are trying to gather support is that they think that they almost want to treat it like it's an inoculation process. You get the answer once and then you're good to go and then you continue. And that's not the way this works. You might have to go back and repeat information over and over and over again because this will, sometimes we'll get into technical information or things that they just really don't care that much about, so they're not gonna retain it until you ask them a question where they, oh, wait a minute, what did they say? So you might have to repeat it a lot, but garnering support is our number one job. Is in getting the temperature of the folks and making sure that we're not wasting our time. What do they want us to do? What direction do they want us to go? Do they want us to rebuild? Do they want us to do new construction or remodel? And if so, what does it look like? All of that kind of stuff is gonna come, but right now we just need them to understand there is in fact a problem. Because there are still people that probably think we could just throw a coat of paint over there and change the doors and we'd be fine.
I don't think there's that many people in Europe.
I've talked to a few.
There's some.
I've talked to a few.
I've talked to them.
You know, the interesting thing is to get that information out, because in the past, we really got beat up with what we didn't know, you know? And what we thought we knew, we put out there and say, hey, here's the information, and then people would say, well, no, actually, we don't believe that you need fire stations. And why didn't you even have that conversation from the start? Like, we couldn't go backwards at that point, we just assumed everybody thought we needed a fire station, right? And that didn't work out so well. So by having this, some information for the public to be able to learn about our situation and what our current situation is. Yeah, we're gonna have to get that in advance before we start asking people seriously, do we need another fire station?
I think that what you're gonna find out is that what you guys failed to do was to ask the people where they wanted the fire station. That was the number one mistake that you guys made. Because everybody that I've talked to wants it right exactly where it is. Okay, the fact of the matter is, right to begin with, okay, ever since '05, we were gonna put a station down here, except there was gonna be a massive municipal building like Warren has.
Yep.
Okay, and then after that, you guys had this committee, and it was the tsunami zone, it was all this business, you know, the chicken little deal, okay? So then you went to the park, then you went to here, then you went to there. Nobody ever talked about putting it right back where it was. That was never, ever an option as far as the citizens of Gerhart.
Right.
Okay, so, you know, I mean, that's the people, those are the people that I have been listening to. And that includes all the people that live up on the front from Portland or Seattle or wherever they come from.
So what was it, like 65-35? Yeah, I mean, it was overwhelmingly, people didn't want it.
Yeah.
You know, there, but there still was a portion of people who did. And that's my concern, is that you get the most motivated group to a town hall, and they start giving you all this information that you get on the screen, that's really neat. It's the most motivated group, so that's why I like the idea of the multiple attempts, the multiple town halls, the slowly taking people up to make them, you know, understand what it is that we're dealing with, where we need to go. And then cap that off with the mayor's idea about an advisory vote. You know, then when people say, well, you didn't ask me, it's like, yeah, you did 4 million.
You didn't respond.
Yeah, and that's what we want to get to, is to be able to say that,
Exactly.
right? So we have this situation with some information, some basic information about our problems. Do we need a fire station? But then to go on further, the next steps, the owner representative situation is what's coming into play here. So I have very limited experience with putting together large building projects. I have a $15 million project under my hat in hotel business. I have a $5 million project in the hotel business, and I've got the $11 million that was all planned and finished by the time I got there. I just had to help manage that project for the water treatment facility, which, even though we had to go to 2 votes, we still finished under budget for that water treatment facility, right? That's hard to say.
That's hard to swallow.
That's hard to say. But once you guys came up with the amount and you gave us the plan, we were able to execute it pretty well, right? And we used a construction manager for that. We had a guy come in. We put a trailer up there, and his name is John. He was very good at this. And he made sure that the plans were being adhered to, everything was being constructed exactly how it was supposed to be done. He held those people's feet to the fire, and he saved us over $300,000, and that was the what we were under budget on that one, -4 million. Right, so that was very helpful, but there's a new way of these architecture firms and things are happening because of the current political environment. There's a group of people that have experience, either they experience as architects, experience as project managers, as builders, you know, they go into a firm and it's a project management firm. And not only are they coming in to help you with the construction aspect of it, but now they're coming in and helping us with the portion that we're in right now. They start becoming involved. If the city was to choose to hire them, and I would recommend that we do once we get some RFPs, we hire somebody to come in and who can do certain things to make sure that we're successful. One of the things that a project manager will do, if they have their own firm, is once we decide that we want to go forward with this project and we want to start working on it, they will help us with their experience, because they do this a lot more often than we do, a communication plan. So they'll set up like, okay, how many town halls do you really want? Well, we want 10 town halls. Well, that's an awesome idea. Let's spread, I'm just using the numbers for fun of it. Let's spread these 10 town halls up into there, and let's give each one of these town halls a subject. What is it that we're gonna take care of? So that way, when people are looking at the calendar, they can say, well, I gotta start talking about design on town hall number 7, not town hall number 1. Town hall number 1, they're trying to figure out whether or not we need a fire station. Town hall number 2, they're trying to determine these sorts of things. So they help us with a communication plan. How are we gonna get information out to people? They're going to assist with that, and they're gonna be at these meetings to be that third person, not the city council, not the Chad. They're gonna be this third person that can help us through these processes with their experiences. Those processes include project management, coordination with stakeholders. They can sit back and go, okay, who are we missing from this table? Invite them in, make sure that Dogami is sitting at the table with us as well to have these discussions, and then help us try to put Dogami in the correct town hall, you know, for the way that we're wanting to go through. If you want to go through a managed process to get through this so that everybody has an opportunity to think. Project management, coordination with stakeholders. They can help us with site selection and acquisition once we get there. You know, now we set up the stakeholders, now we can start talking about the sites, right? Budgeting, cost control, contract administration, design oversight, permitting and regulatory compliance. This is what they specialize in. They would start talking to all these other firms and saying, okay, we're gonna need to talk to Dogami because we're gonna need an exemption from this. We're gonna need to talk to the city because we need an exemption from this. And the building code says this. So this is what we're gonna have to adhere to. And by the way, the NFPA manual on page 423 says this, having somebody to be able to manage that. Construction oversight, risk management, and then all the way to commissioning the handover. It's a third party. And this person or group can do that process if it's over, let's say 18 months is the estimate of what that could take to get through a lot of these things. For about, just throwing it out, we're putting the RFP together, for about $40,000. It would help then manage the architect, the surveyor, the geotech, the structural cost estimator, all the people that we have to hire afterwards to get through this process to make sure we have the best up-to-date information available for our residents and our council, is importantly, they would coordinate all of that. And we would hold them their feet to the fire to make sure it gets done. So the way that this process could cost, so far people are saying out there that, you know, over this last period of time, we spent $170,000 trying to get to that last election. It's partially true. We spent $170,000 over about 5.5, 6 years on multiple locations. Just to give you an idea, to go through with an owner representative, and we're gonna need an architect. What's the architect gonna do? Is the architect gonna do a full design build, ready to go designing this is one of our challenges. How much money do we have to spend as a city? Right now, in our building management fund, we got about $250,000, a little bit more than that, to accomplish a project. How are we going to spend that money to get this project to a point to where people can vote on it? So, project manager, we get the stakeholders together, we have the conversations, we start talking about the location, decide on a location, right? Then we start designing for that location. Those designs are not complete designs. The designs, in order for us to get to a new public safety building, will cost us about $70,000 just to get to the basic design level, the amount of square foot, the type of materials that we'll be using. The type of foundation is going to cost, the foundation, structural foundation will cost about $15,000 in design. Based on preliminary information, they're going to put down some basic designs. We're going to pay $70,000 for one, $12,000 for another, and that still will not get us to construction. The cost of plans to build a $5 million building is about 10%. So it's really $500,000, right? To get a full set of build plans for a city to build a critical infrastructure building. We can't afford that. So how are we going to get from here to there and get to a vote without having a full set of plans? The city of Portland can do a full set of plans on a new structure. They can spend millions of dollars doing that. Manzanita couldn't do it. Cannon Beach can't do it. Seaside, they don't have that kind of cash. So we get through this process with a professional, get the initial designs from the architect, get the initial designs from the structural engineer, and then it goes to, those designs go to what's called a cost estimator. Cost estimator, you pay about 10 grand. They take that information, they study how many square foot, how much material, the type of material you're gonna use, the type of foundation, how much concrete, they have all those calculations that they can figure out. They know that you are not in Portland, that you're on the coast, so they add a percentage for that because it takes a lot of energy to get builders and supplies this way. They know weather's gonna be a factor, so they're going to calculate that into it. It's amazing the things that they come up and calculate. They'll be able to put together a pretty good cost estimation. And then from there, we gotta go to a vote. That's where we got tore up last time. It's like, well, you don't even know how much this is really gonna cost because you don't have the final plans. We had preliminary plans, we had cost estimator plans, we had the structural plans, we did all that. That's part of where we spent our money. But people didn't believe it because we didn't take them through. So an owner representative or project manager, depending on what they call themselves, can help be that third person to make sure that we get all of that value, get to the vote, and have all the information that we need. And then that way the community can make the best decision, they participated. And then if we get that, and if it's voted yes, part of that, however many millions of dollars it's gonna cost, is going to be to finish the plans. Take our preliminary design, spend the additional $400,000 or whatever it takes to finish all of those up, make them so that they're buildable. The project manager helps verify all that, monitors that. The project manager can help us select an architect that you want. We can put requirements on them. We want an architect that's built 10 fire stations. We want an architect that's familiar with this code, that has done critical infrastructure before, that has worked on the coast, knows how to build on the coast. You know, things like that. They can help us do that. The city council will make those selections of who the architect's going to be, who the project managers, the geotech, the structural and all that. You folks will help with that. They'll take us through it. Is that clear on an option that you have? Okay, so here is that information. There are estimates on what this cost would be. I had the, oh, this is on? No, you got it. I had the owner representative estimate what these costs were gonna cost us to get through it. And they say that to get done with this project in about 18 months, to get it to where it could go to a vote, you're looking at about $140,000.
Would you mind explaining to council what you explained to me as far as more? Here. Answer this.
Oh, that is a big question, and I think that's something that we should put on the list of something to accomplish, is this conversation with the public. So grants, people say, why, and this is my opinion, okay, so I'm not telling you what to think, or, this isn't what I'm putting out to the community. By the way, the difference on this time also is all of this is coming from you folks, so the communication that comes to me, we need to do this, or we need to find out this, is a discussion that we'll have in the council, with councilors as well. But this is coming from you folks, this isn't coming from me, so this process could be involved in. Grants, people say all the time, we need to write grants, USDA, FEMA, Hudson Foundation, all of these sorts of things to be able to have somebody pay for our fire station. Okay, my thought on that is, as an ex-taxpayer, but as a taxpayer where I'm at, I feel like, well, number one, there's no money available for construction. Construction is the most expensive part of any operation, when it comes down to putting these things in. There's really no construction grants out there. There's leads, if you want to do something that's good for the environment, they'll provide you with some money and some help. There is USDA. USDA does do grants for construction of the fire stations to underserved communities. Gearhart's average according to the census, Gearhart's average salary, even though nobody works here, it's 100 and some thousand a year. That's our average. We're not going to qualify for any low income grants in Gearhart. It's, in my mind, this is just my opinion, the citizens of Gearhart have gotten their value out of these two buildings. Not recommending that we replace this one, right? This is maybe a remodel, but of the fire station, they've gotten the value out of it. It's time for them to pay for that and to, provide this community and its volunteers with the best thing as possible. But there is no grant money out there for construction. There's lots of little grants. There's lots of tiny ones. We can get 10,000 here, 5,000 there, but in the whole grand scheme of things on a $5 million project, that's pretty small. And we will go for as many of those as we can once we have a head. But I don't know of any construction grants.
The other thing excuse me, but the other thing to that is you have to have a plan. We have a parks plan, and we get a parks grant to resurface the tennis courts and the pickleball course, because we have a plan. We don't have a plan for the fire department. We don't even have a commitment from the people yet. And we can't apply for any grant because we don't have a commitment from people.
That was one of the big things that we fell into. It was like, we looked at some of these grants and we says, well, we'd like to apply for that. And they're like, yeah, well, what does your community think? No, they don't want fire. They don't want our building there. Well, we're not gonna give you any money for that.
Right, no,
It's like trying to join the Siemens union, you go to a Steve door and you say, I'd like to work for you, and they say, well, you remember the union? Oh, so you go to the union, you got a job? No, it's just a yo-yo. Oh.
but you get a commitment from the people and you got a direction, then you can go and knock on everyone's, you can go to FEMA and say, we'd like to have a vertical evacuation tower on top of our fire department. And they'll go, hey, what a great idea. We might be able to save 1,000 people. Let's build it. Here's $20 million.
And they'll see that the community put in their check as well. They said, okay, we believe in this project, we'll put in, just throwing it out there, 5 million. And once we get that commitment, then grants would probably open up to us a little better.
But you don't, it's a waste of time and energy to go for a grant when you don't have a direction and you don't have a commitment. And that's the big thing, in my mind. So anyway, please, is that it?
That's it. So the city council needs to decide on whether or not you'd like to use a representative. Some people have said that we need to go to, some people said that we need to go to the public to ask them that. you know, and that's up to you folks, that might be part of what we do during this next town hall, is to say, hey, we would advocate for a project manager. How do people agree to put it up on the screen?
I think that once you explain it to the citizenry, that it's actually gonna save the taxpayers money in order to get, owner's representative or a design build outfit. You know, that the amount of money that we're spending on the owner's representative is money very, very well spent. You know, the problem, okay, let's just take the school up here. That thing was a total cluster.
Oh, the new school, yeah.
Yeah, okay, they don't even have enough outlets in the rooms for the kids to plug their computers in or anything else like that. They're now rewiring that with surface conduit and everything like that. When, you know, an owner's representative, you know, would have caught that right to begin with.
And the way this is set up is it would be somebody that would work for the city, not for the architect, not for the firm of the architect. It would be a different firm that they would be helping us to hire those other positions with their expertise.
They almost, you can almost guarantee that they will earn their money back on by keeping us from making costly mistakes, keeping us going in a forward direction, keep us meeting our benchmarks, like you
Thinking about
said.
the things we're not thinking about.
Yeah, and that's what they do, and the fact is that we have 13 employees here and 5 volunteers, one of whom had to leave his job to be here today. Thank you for being here today. But I mean, we can't do this. We need help. We need to do that.
Well, sorry, Dan.
No, go ahead.
No, I believe this council understands the value in that, and that'll be one of the questions on
Okay, finish your sentence.
next town hall's meeting list of questions. Go ahead, David.
I disagree with Chad. We built the whole library on grants from just bare ground. And we got $300,000 from Meyer Memorial, we got $100,000 from Ford. And we built almost the entire thing on grants. There were other things too, but there's grants. And we didn't say it's for construction. We just said we're building a new library, you know? So I'm just saying that even though I don't know about grant for fire stations, and I apologize because I don't know that, but we built the whole library on grants.
The difference is that you're building a library, it isn't a safety building.
Well, that's what I don't know about.
Yeah, it's hard to say.
Fire station.
It is hard to say. There may be some grants out there. But we've hammered it pretty hard. We've had people from the outside look at it. We've had the USDA representatives on the phone. We talked to FEMA, they didn't have anything. And this is over multiple years and multiple times. For this particular type of project, it isn't. But one of the things that we can do is once we have this built on and this commitment, it would be dangerous to go out and say, you know what, we're gonna get some grants to help do this as well. So we only want 3 million because we think we can get 2 million. We may never be able to build it. But there are a lot of grants for outfitting,
Yes,
for solar
yes,
and all of that. There might be grants for like what you were saying there. A vertical evacuation tower. Okay, so we got this building, we got this plan. Could we maybe look at putting tower and the additional engineering to get that on? There probably would be a grant for that.
yeah, all of the grants that we got were really, really large, but we got grants for like children's furnishings, we got grants for bookshelves, we got grants, and it all added up.
But I
And
think
so
that
that we
would do
didn't have to
that.
go out, we didn't have to raise any taxes for that building, the whole city just.
So you never had to go to you never had to go to the community and say, hey, we need a bond.
No, we never did that, we didn't need to.
To do this project, we will.
Okay, I understand that, but,
Yeah.
and there's a book called the Oregon Community Foundation Handbook that has all the grants that Oregon foundations give out to other Oregon entities. It's a gold mine, and I know that the library has at least 2
If
copies.
we were gonna go to the public and say that, well, we hope you get grants, it would be hard to get to that vote. To where we'd say yes or no.
I understand.
So there's a challenge, but maybe, and this owner representative that gave me their information here, which is a group I won't name yet, because they're probably gonna wanna do this. But they said that a portion of what they would do is look at the available grants that are out there and really help us to do that. We can do that as well.
Yeah.
And during the planning process, we can enter that information in and say, okay, well, we can get a fire pole for the police department,
Yeah.
and.
For the police department.
I'm trying to be
We're
fair,
not doing that.
all I do is bring up fire stuff and Dana and then get mad at me, 26 years, hard. But, we could go for, I think that we
Yeah.
should, but to get to a vote and to say that we need $5 million, we're gonna have to ask the community for that.
Oh, I agree.
And I
agree.
think what you need to remember is like hypothetically, let's use the last vote as an example. If that were to have passed $14.5 million, and stop me if I say something incorrect. But that was the amount that the city would have said, yes, you can take up to that amount. And at that point, we get all of our ducks in a row, we have a project, we're not going to people knocking on their door with a half-baked, we kind of want to do this. And they go, wow, you sound like you know what you're doing, and that sounds like a good viable project, I want to give my money to. That's when you start to get the grants. And then you don't have to take out the full $14.5 million, you can reduce it by 3 million or
Yeah.
whatever your grant is, and that's how you, but he's right, if we start telling the folks around here, expect that we'll get grants and we won't have to pay as much, they're not gonna vote for the 14.5 million or whatever it is we need, and I hope it's not $14.5 million, but it's too soon to even know any of those numbers. But they're not gonna give us the okay to get to the point where we could even seriously ask for grants. We need to have a good plan.
That's right.
It is true, that is true.
Just take the water just take the water deal, right? Oh, we can do it for 7 million, no problem at all. So we passed a law for 7 million. Halfway through, you guys, now they came back to us and said, we need another $5 million.
Yeah, because regulations change,
Now
we
we're-
can't control that.
No, now we're already into it.
Some cities use that as a way to get around.
Okay.
Yeah, no,
I was not, I was already hanging off a cliff enough for that last particular fire station thing. So if there was one thing I was going to do is make sure that we could get that project done. And so when I estimated everything, when they estimated everything, I was like, okay, great, we need a contingency. This is, well, we don't know what the interest rates were gonna be, and this is during COVID and everything was going crazy up. And they said, well, 10% contingency would be great. Fantastic, 20%. I said, do a 20% contingency. They were like, well, that's gonna affect your vote. And I said, because that back then I was making this decision, I said, no big deal. I said, they gotta vote for what it is that they're gonna get. I'm not, we shouldn't say, oh, well, but I think we can do it for this. Because then we're just getting ourselves into another situation. Remember, I didn't come up with that plan.
You're gonna be tarred, everybody's gonna be tarred and feathered if we have to go back to the citizenry and ask.
No, we're not doing that. Absolutely not. We've got 2 minutes and then I'm calling it quits.
Okay, can I ask a question? Thank you. This might be a really stupid question too, but I'm just kind of wondering, is this majority rules situation? Or do we have to have a certain percentage of majority rules?
Or what?
Or decision about, even about as simple as, do we need a new fire station? So we ask that question and we get X percentage that says yes, and we get X percentage that
Are you
says.
talking about from the public?
Yeah.
I thought you were
So-
asking about.
So if we get a 52% that says yes and we get a 48% that says no, is it majority rules or how?
Then you keep going back to them until you
Yeah.
can convince that 48%.
You change the percentage.
You change your parameters.
There's a point to where the city council is not gonna wanna ask everybody for every move, but there are some very important things that you probably should take a look at and say that, yeah, we wanna get a lot of public input on it. But if you get down to what kind of handrails are gonna be on the outside of the stairwells, and you start asking permission, you're never gonna get it done, but yeah.
No,
So I think that you need to weigh that.
Yeah, big picture.
Yeah, so what big picture items do you want the community to answer for you? And we need to get on those pretty soon.
So You didn't answer my question.
So I think initially what, the goal of this voting is to give us feedback, let us know where we need to do better, what more information we need to get or what we overlooked. And then it's too soon to say right now what it's gonna be, but our goal is to get, a vast majority of people supporting one direction and we know which way to go. So
Right.
initially, I think we're gonna have, like you said, I think it's gonna be close votes initially, and that's gonna give us information to then figure out what do we need to do, how do we,
Right.
tell us why you go back.
And if we need to take another 3 months or whatever to convince people to bring them along to the same kind of conclusion as almost majority, that's what we'll do. It's, it's not written in gold that we have to do it in.
You're not gonna get 100% of the back way to grab it.
Sharon wants to say something.
No. Can I just make one observation, and I'm just gonna throw this out there because it's been said to me by some people. It might behoove us to present some of this information as more of we're wondering if we need this, or we're thinking along these lines. In other words, maybe soften the sales approach a little bit, because some people got their backs up. Really got their backs up about that. When we all talked at the last firehouse meeting, we all talked about what we need and what we'd like to see and stuff, and I'm not saying don't talk about it, but I'm saying people would rather, maybe if we sell it a little bit more gently, as opposed to we're gonna convince you one way or another kind of attitude. It's just an
Yeah.
observation I had.
I think that's a good one. I'm not picking anything up from the council right now. I mean, you folks seem to have in your minds that you really want to have a robust citizen participation in this one. The council before you, part of what they were thinking was, all right, of course we want to have a fire station out of the tsunami inundation zone. Let's head that direction. I mean, who wouldn't? I guess we figured that out, I mean, that's oversimplifying that process,
So I
so.
think a big question is, do we hire an outside consultant? That's gonna be a huge question, because we're gonna be asking them if we can spend city monies to hire this consultant to help us. We all would like to have that consultant. I'm pretty sure all of us would like to have that consultant on board, because it would be very helpful, but
We have to govern. We can take advice, we can take consideration of other people's
yes,
thoughts and feelings, but ultimately, this council is what directs the city. And if we all agree that having an outside entity help us, then we have the right and the obligation to spend that money to help us through this process. Because ultimately, we will be saving money. And even if it's a few people that got their backs up, we have to live with that when we make our decision to spend that money, because in reality, this is the governing entity of the city of Gerhart, and I'm not giving that up. I'm taking advice and I'm taking direction from the citizens, but I am not giving up the job I was given.
yeah, I'm not advocating.
Okay, and so I understand and, I will listen, but a hard sell is not what we're doing. What we're doing is a hard listen. And if they feel it's a hard sell, then
I'm just giving you feedback.
I do, I understand that.
I don't shoot the messenger.
Not shooting anybody, and we,
No, I think he's agreeing with you.
I think that what we all should be doing is that when the citizenry asks us why it is that we need to replace this building over here. And I can tell you that over the last 3 administrations in the city, that building there has been very, very well maintained. Problem is that it's a CMU block building. You can go over on the west side of that, you'll see where the concrete block is starting to deteriorate. There are no fill cells in it. You know? So what we need to do as counselors is to, you know, educate on a one-on-one basis the reason why this building needs to be replaced.
Okay,
So when they ask you, they say, well, how come the building needs to be replaced? You can just tell them it's, you know, it's well outlived its life.
okay, with that, I'm gonna call the meeting adjourned.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, everybody, for showing up and participating. Won't go, huh?
Well, it's not done yet. Do not, again, do not disseminate that